All right, well, Disdain for Plebs is a Facebook page that I've been running for 2 years straight. 2 years straight, no break, every single day, 250 plus posts a week. It is basically me, myself, and nobody else. There's another admin. He never posts. That's why I think he's the best admin because he never does post. So it is essentially me, and I built this following of 200,000 people over the course of 2 years over like nonstop dedication to the page. It's not the first time that I've been censored on this page, and I'll get to that in a moment. There's been other times where it periodically happens, and I don't think it is at the fault of some kind of faulty algorithms like people are trying to tell me because it's too suspicious. It could be mass flooding of reports, but even so, that is still on part of Facebook's bias because it should be obvious that the left leaning it's lack for a better word. They're called social justice warriors. I don't like that name for them, but it's going to be more natural to them to mass report pages. And I think that's still on the fault of Facebook to allowing such a bias, even if they do not have a innate hand in its own demise. There is an invisible hand that they are allowing to flourish against certain pages. So it is almost strictly contained to Facebook, my page. There's a YouTube outlet, which I do podcasts on maybe once a week. I went somewhere else. It's called minds.com because during this downtime that I'm going to have on my page, I need to post somewhere else. I'm going to try to build up another influence on another platform as well while sticking to a secondary Facebook page that I established some time ago. So that's basically what Disdain for Plebs is.
Okay. And so you've been around 2 years, and then when was it that you noticed, let's say, that your traffic was throttling back, or maybe there was a precipitous drop off, or something specific that you can cite?
Well, it's very you can't really give a specific time when you think you were being throttled because some days you'll have great days, other days you'll have terrible days, and that could just be dependent on the content that you produce. It is more basically centered towards punishment involving through Facebook moderation because the Facebook moderation through the website is um, it's explicitly left wing in nature because like there was a bunch of stories out before where I had all of my accounts blocked that were associated with the Facebook website Disdain for Plebs, with the Facebook page Disdain for Plebs. All of the accounts that are associated with that Facebook page was blocked within a 24-hour period over nonsense that had no real consequential effect other than to maybe hurt somebody's feelings. You know what I mean? It hurt somebody's feelings and they felt that they should report it. But that would make sense if it was a localized event. It would make sense if it was just one particular article, but it was three times back to back to back. So that has me thinking that there was something more to it. That throttled my reach because I was out basically 24 hours and I couldn't post any content. This is going to be a whole 30 days that I can't post regular content. That's going to kill the reach. And I think it is because that Facebook does have a discriminatory practice against conservatives. And I know that it's going to kill the reach because basically all I post is URL links. I post photos, videos, and sometimes I will give my commentary without an additional sort of media. That's kind of rare. I mean, I'll do maybe two or three posts where it's just nothing but commentary, but the rest is I'm giving, it's a site where I report the news and give my commentary on the news and current events.
So did Facebook notify you of something in the last few days, specifically saying that your posting privileges were going to be restricted? Did they send you some sort of message, or did you detect that? How did you learn about that?
No, basically what happened is it was just all of a sudden. It was at 3 a.m. I go to the page. I go to the main page. I do that, multiple times throughout the day just to see updates, just to see the comments, what people are replying with, because I like to have an active presence in the community. So I went there, and it has just big red text on the front page saying that you have been limited. Your posting abilities have been limited. And you're thinking like, what the hell is this? And they claim that they're going to send an email, but I never got an email. They didn't. There was no warning. There was no explanation on what happened or what was done to warrant that kind of consequence from Facebook. It happened 3 a.m., which is something else that is kind of suspicious. That's usually when everybody is sleeping. So if it was done by a by an automated machine, you would think it would be done during the times which reports are being flooded to the page instead of at some inconspicuous hour where nobody's awake. So that it's all these different factors which are coming in at the same time that really makes it suspicious that it was not just an algorithm. It was not the error of a faulty system. It was definitely some kind of effort in stifling the narrative. Because this is another thing I'm going to highlight on, is that it came directly one day after a comic of mine went viral. It reached 500,000 people, and that's quite a lot of people. That's quite a lot of people. I'm not going to say it's as much as a lot of other pages go. But for my audience, that's quite a lot of people just for an image, because usually it's videos that get that type of engagement, not photos. So that reached a lot of people. Around 3,000 people shared it, 500,000. And then the next day I posted another comic, and these are original comics. It's anti-liberal, pro-conservative biased comics. And then later that day, all of a sudden, out of the blue, I get limitations on my page. That's not a coincidence. There's nothing about that that's coincidental. That to me, that is a effort in stifling my narrative.
And did you say that these were the first few original content that you would put out on your own? Was that right?
I've done it before. I've made comics before, way back. Maybe like it was probably a year ago. I made comics before, but that was before I had 225,000 people following the page. That was maybe when I had 70,000. I haven't even reached 100,000 yet. So I did make comics before, but I was nowhere near the level of publicity, exposure, and reach. So it was probably because they see this page as a gaining threat on some kind of liberal narrative that they felt the need to bring down some kind of justice and consequence for, I guess, as you would say, correct the record.
Right. So you kind of like, I guess you crossed a tipping point, whatever their threat level, whatever their threat level detectors are. And to corroborate what you're saying, I know the administrators of some pretty large, similar type of pages, very anti-liberal, anti-progressive, anti-social justice warrior. One of them has 500,000 followers. Another has over 200. We have the God Emperor Trump page that has nearly 100,000. And in the past 2 months, one of them, the largest one, was just taken down completely. And the admin of that page, he fought for like 6 weeks. I don't even know what he did, but after like 6 weeks, he finally got to the right person at Facebook that enabled him to put the page back up. I know that this other page, it's called End the Fed. I know everyone has seen that one. That's kind of one of these like ultra viral type Facebook pages. He's told me that his reach has cut in half in the last month, and he has no idea why. So he's probably in a similar situation to the one that you've been in recently. And then I know the God Emperor Trump page was completely taken down with no warning as well, and due to a pretty intensive 24-hour push by right-wing media and independent journalists, that page was actually brought back to life quite quickly. It just seems like they're just trying to knock everybody down and see what they can get away with until we put the pressure back on them and they end up, caving in. So I guess that's what we're hoping we can do for you now at this point, and get.
Well, that's all it is. That's all it is. There needs to be pressure, and there needs to be people talking about it. Because when I was censored the first time, it wasn't really the first time. There's subtle ways where it happened before, but the moment I'm talking about is when those 3 accounts were all banned consecutively, one after another. That Lauren Southern was also affected, so that got a lot of publicity. And as soon as that happened, all of my posts were republished. They were just republished. I wasn't unbanned, of course. They didn't reinstate my accounts, but they republished they republished the post that they took down that I was post blocked over. They unbanned her, of course, because she's more of a prominent figure. But I was just happy that there was some kind of there was some kind of backlash to it all, and there needs to be, because 2016, it has been the year of liberal censorship. It has gone crazy. Milo was censored. All these pages are being taken down, one after another after another. I can't count on 2 hands how many pages that I have directly followed have been completely unpublished without warning and without reason on Facebook. And everybody knows about it, but it just seems like they feel like the moderators, it's their website and they can do whatever they feel like is necessary to display some kind of narrative. They even said that in the Facebook trending that there has been found to be a liberal bias in the reporting. That's why they got rid of all their curators. So it is no question about if these people are corrupt or not. It is certain 100% that they're corrupt, but there needs to be enough people who are speaking out about it to put pressure down on them so they can reverse the actions that they did, so they can at least, it doesn't matter if they apologize. I don't care if they apologize, but they reconcile with their misdeeds and bring back some of the damage that they've once done. That's all I care about. I just want my page to be at full optimal ability again so I can go back to doing what I like. I didn't get money off of it. I just did it because I like to do it.
Right, and they are actually getting money off of it. The more traffic everyone's driving, the better that they're doing. So they are
Yeah.
actually profiting off your work.
Yeah.
But I do find it so strange, and it's telling that, and it's a trend that I've seen through all these pages that are getting taken down and then put back up, is that they hold all this content in purgatory. They don't just delete it. They don't just wipe the page clean. They hold it, and then they kind of see, like, they sit back and say, is anyone going to say anything? And if they do, I guess we have to give it back to them. But it's like they're testing the waters on how far they can push this before they just straight up just delete pages.
Yeah, they don't instantly delete pages. They wait until you, because there's an appeal process, and if you're one of the lucky ones, you can get your page back within the first few appeals or so. But if you really want it back, and they're not letting you, you have to get some kind of third party help, because the most of it is done automatically. Most of the appeals and the reports and all that stuff is done automatically. And that's the real scary thing. But even when there is human intervention in these, it looks like it doesn't help whatsoever in combating the liberal bias, because you don't see the leftist pages really being taken down unless they're just like obscenely grotesque, like free bleeding feminist pages might be able to get taken down because they are just obscene in nature. But other pages, which promote almost terroristic acts, there's like an animal page which promotes terroristic acts against people who experiment on animals for scientific research and all that, and they get to keep their pages because it's left-wing in orientation. There's a pseudo-humanitarian narrative behind it. That's why leftists are almost invulnerable when it comes to these types of things, because they hide behind this shield of humanitarianism, while we have to display the unfortunate truths in society, and because of that we might hurt some feelings and thus have no shield to hide behind.
Right, and then you have things like the guy going on HLN the other day, or CNN or whatever, and he had just saved a baby from a burning car or
Yeah.
something, and he was wearing a
Yeah.
Trump T-shirt, and they censored out the T-shirt. So
Yeah.
the censorship is ramping up on all fronts, and Matt Drudge did warn about that about a year ago today, if I'm not mistaken, in the one interview that he did last year, and he said 2016 is the year that they're coming for free speech, and that's pretty clear that it's happening.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's no way to even deny that at this point. It's just, in even if they don't find a way to stifle you through technical means of like shutting down your platform, they'll shut you down for calling you a racist or a conspiracy theorist or some tinfoiler or something like that. If you just hold it like any bias that is not socially acceptable, they're going to take you down for it. And this is right wing and left wing. Don't get me wrong. It's not just the left wings that go after people. The right wingers also go after each other. So if you happen to have a socially unacceptable thought, it's no matter how good you can articulate it, no matter how well you can defend it, if it is socially unacceptable to a degree where they feel that you are unmarketable, you are irredeemable, you're just going to be censored by both parties. So it's no even use fighting it on some fronts.
True, it is definitely an uphill battle coming from both sides. Is there any other information that you would like to get out to the public? Is there any messaging that you would like to get out there? What can we do to help you?
Basically, what you can do is if you can find anybody, any journalist, anybody in the media, anybody whatsoever, I don't really care who it is, find somebody and tell them about this. Tell them there's this guy who is a right-wing conservative. He got his he was obviously censored for his political belief, and if you can, show them that issue broadcast which I published on Pastebin, show it to them. If they can get it out to anybody, The point is getting enough pressure on this social media outlet and its moderators so they reverse the actions and the damages that they've done. Because if they don't, think about the consequences if you don't act. Think about the consequences if you don't act, if you go on Facebook, because Facebook is not just about memes. A lot of people get their actual news from Facebook, and I'm willing to bet if you're listening to this, you're probably one of those people who get a large, substantial amount of their news from Facebook. If they keep on censoring right-wingers for incorrect thought policing, if they keep on trying to correct the narrative of whatever narrative that they seem to be justifiable and socially acceptable, you're going to have nothing but left-wing outlets, and this is the big part, you're going to have nothing but controlled opposition from the right wing, feeding you things that you might think are sincere, but they're just a controlled narrative. At the end of the day, they're no better than the liberal narrative. So you got to think about that. If you don't act, the future is going to look bleak. It's going to look horrible because this is a precursor. This is a precedent. And if you allow this precedent to stay the way it is, then nobody can be blamed for tomorrow's consequences, because you can't say that democracy is innately bad if you do nothing to fix the public perception of it. That's basically what I'm getting out here.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to get this out to as many people as possible. We'll put the pressure on, and we'll see if we can't get you back online and better than ever as soon as possible.
Definitely.